Former President Trump is expected to attend a hearing on Thursday in the federal criminal case involving his handling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon will hear arguments on two of Trump's motions to dismiss his indictment, with his attorney set to argue the case should be thrown out because of the Presidential Records Act. Meanwhile, a former Mar-a-Lago employee is now publicly describing how he helped to move materials related to the classified documents case. Brian Butler says he was a Mar-a-Lago employee for 20 years and handled car service for the former president. Butler told CNN he helped Trump co-defendant Walt Nauta load several boxes onto Trump's plane at the West Palm Beach airport on June 3rd of 2022. That was the same time the FBI was searching a storage area at Mar-a-Lago for classified documents.
And did you have any idea at the time that there was potentially U.S. national security secrets in those boxes?
No clue. No, I had no clue. I mean, we were just taking them out of the Escalade, piling them up. I remember they were all stacked on top of each other, and then we're lifting them up to the pilots.
How many boxes was it?
You know, they asked me in the interview, and I believe it was 10 to 15 is what I remember. I know
They
being
being the investigators.
Correct.
And when you look back on that now, what do you...
Well, I had no clue until probably the end of June. There was a few different things that happened that kind of opened my eyes to, something's going on here.
So you get that unusual request. Did you ever think to yourself, why were there so many boxes at Mar-a-Lago?
For me, I'm just thinking, the former president, he has a lot of stuff he likes to lug around with him. I never would have thought it was anything like what we see now.
Classified documents.
Yeah, I mean...
Butler's interview with CNN there. Butler, Walt Nauta's legal team, and the Office of Special Counsel Jack Smith all declined to comment to NBC News. The Trump campaign did not immediately respond to a request for comment by NBC, although CNN reports a lawyer for Trump declined to comment. Join us now, former litigator and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. Lisa, good morning. Let's start with the last part of that, which is Brian Butler saying explicitly, I helped Walt Nauta load boxes onto a private plane to get them away from Mar-a-Lago right around the time the FBI was coming to search for classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. How does Mr. Butler play into all of this?
Well, it's interesting because Mr. Butler shows up in the indictment with 6 different references across 2 paragraphs. None of those paragraphs relate to the incident that we were just watching as he described to CNN. Nothing about the indictment details how boxes got from Mar-a-Lago to Bedminster. It makes a passing reference to it, but the story that Brian Butler told to CNN is not currently part of what Donald Trump has been charged with, what Walt Nauta has been charged with. So it's interesting to hear him provide this additional detail that isn't part of the case as we understand it.
So why do you suspect he sat for that interview? Why did he want to go public and tell all these details? He got into his relationship with Donald Trump, about how he doesn't trust Donald Trump, thinks he's a bad guy, et cetera, et cetera. What's he up to here?
It's interesting. He worked there for 20 years. So on one hand, it's interesting to hear him say that he doesn't trust Trump now. On the other hand, I think part of his motivation is that he may believe that his name is about to be disclosed. Willie, you might recall that Judge Cannon had ordered the unsealing of certain documents in this case that relate to almost 24 witnesses or potential witnesses in the case. That order is under a motion for reconsideration. But if she decides that she's going to side with Donald Trump and his co-defendants, Brian Butler's name could become a matter of public record sooner than we think.
It's always been an open question why the feds didn't search Bedminster as well. Let's shift to the case here in New York. Yesterday, Trump's lawyers asked the judge to delay that trial, which is set to begin in just about 2 weeks' time, March 25th, until after the Supreme Court rules on presidential immunity. What do we think? Do they have a shot for that to happen?
I really don't think that they do, John. And partially the reason that they don't is because they've waited so long to raise this argument. Judge Merchan, who is the judge overseeing the New York trial, issued an order last night taking a tweak at Donald Trump and his lawyers for putting this in at the very last minute. Jury selection begins 2 weeks from yesterday. They could have raised the question of presidential immunity at any other point during this case since the indictment. They hadn't raised it since last summer and then essentially let it lapse and didn't appeal a federal court's determination about that relates to this case. They're now not claiming that he's immune from the case. They're claiming that the DA wants to use particular statements by him during his presidency that somehow should be considered official statements because he was president. The stuff he said about Michael Cohen, for example, on Twitter in 2017, 2018, is as personal as it gets. There's nothing official about it. I expect the DA to take a really hard whack at this motion when they respond later this week, and for Judge Merchan to treat it similarly tough.
So let's stay in New York, Lisa, and talk about E. Jean Carroll for a moment, because, again, Donald Trump just had to post a $91 million bond, again defaming her at a rally over the weekend, again yesterday morning on CNBC defaming E. Jean Carroll, to which E. Jean Carroll's attorney, Robbie Kaplan, says, dude, I'm not quoting her, but dude, we can keep doing this if you want to,
Yep.
and you'll keep writing us checks.
Yep.
Are they going to pursue another defamation case against Donald Trump?
I wish I had a crystal ball to answer that question. I certainly think they have grounds to do so if they would like to. But there are a couple of complications. One of them is proving that E. Jean Carroll has been further damaged by the repetition, now this would be for the third time, of the same lies that Donald Trump has been telling about her. And unfortunately, showing that she's been damaged in that way might perversely require Robbie Kaplan and her team to wait a little bit to see how the death threats mount, to see how the nasty and vile comments on Twitter pile up. To be able to show that she's been damaged is critical to filing a new suit against Trump. Even if the larger goal is to punish him, the law requires some proportionality between her injuries and the punitive damages.
And yesterday, Donald Trump calling her Miss Bergdorf Goodman, which is where he was found liable of sexual assault against her many years ago. Really quickly before we go, I just want to circle back to where we started, which is the documents case.
Yep.
Donald Trump's team is claiming Presidential Records Act covers them, and so that this should be dismissed. We'll say it again for the 1,000th time. That is not what the Presidential Records Act says, that you can take classified documents home with you to your beach club. Does that hold any water at all, that argument?
I don't think so. I mean, certainly it's an issue of first impression. Nobody has ever claimed before that the Presidential Records Act somehow immunizes them from criminal prosecution. You know that Trump is like famous for a shorthand about this argument. He always says the Clinton Sox case. Clinton Sox case has to do with audio tapes that Bill Clinton made while he was president with the historian Taylor Branch. The court found in that case that those audio tapes were akin to diaries, which are exempt from the Presidential Records Act. It was not a determination that they were his personal records, and therefore Trump can analyze from that, like, hey, these were all mine to begin with, and I was president when I took them, therefore there's no criminal liability here. I think Donald Trump is, again, dreaming. Then again, his audience is Aileen Cannon, who, when Donald Trump wants, she usually provides.
So you're saying tapes of stories about your cat are different than taking war plans for attacking Iran back and waving them around your beach club?
Really, that is indeed what I am saying this
Thank you
morning.
for the clarification.
Wow. Good to know.
MSNBC legal correspondent.
That's why we have her.
Isn't she
Because
good?
you're looking and you're going, how do you like be King Solomon and split that baby? She just did it. Stories
thank
about
you.
cats. Okay. Stories about nuclear weapons.
Thank you.
No.
All
Okay.
right.
We got it now.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.